My heart rages around like an ocean in my head, because there are so many things that I left unsaid. I can almost feel you walking in the distance, but I know that is not reality. If you are echoing around inside these parallel dimensions all alone, know I'll find you in my dreams. My heart rages around like an ocean in my head. I can almost feel you walking in the distance, but I know that is not reality. If you are echoing around inside these parallel dimensions all alone, know I'll find you in my dreams. I can almost feel you walking in the distance, but I know that is not reality.
Y'all, I almost ended the whole show before we got started. I clicked the wrong, instead of the countdown, I clicked my outro. It's Monday, right? Hey, P. Lola, I see your chat. I haven't heard anything about another, I haven't heard about another plane. My goodness. Happy Monday, right? Hey, Cherie, good to see you. Hey, Sherry. Patricia, hey, ma'am. I hope you had a good long weekend, restful, I hope. Patricia. Ay, ay, ay. Hey, Morgana Banana. P. Lola says, me either. The photos look so scary. I hope the victims have minor injuries. So scary seeing a huge jet upside down like that. I haven't seen it. My goodness. Minnesota to Canada, the plane crash landed upside down on fire. Good grief. Hey, Riza Phoenix. Good to see you. Hello, you guys. Happy Monday. Happy Monday. Can I just ask real quick? Does anybody else struggle this time of the year with I've talked about having all the dry skin lately. You guys, the dandruff. Oh my God. Like the dandruff has been insanity. Insanity. Hey, Kylie's mom. Hey, good to see you. Hey. Patricia, I'm glad that you had a good long weekend. Yay. But yes, anybody else have really bad dandruff right now? Or is it just me? I mean, I had to go buy Head and Shoulders. I never need that kind of stuff. But, buddy, I do right now. Head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. I'm at the very end of my coffee. Decaf, by the way. Anyway, let's see. Hey, Gail, good to see you. You guys, have you all heard? Now, keep in mind, we are still on the Rose Petal murder trial, but, oh, hold on. I was reorganizing and cleaning out my desk yesterday. That's something I have to, do often. But we're still on the Rose Petal murder trial. The state rested. The defense will be starting their case in chief tomorrow. And so today, because it's President's Day, the courthouses and stuff are mostly, for the most part, closed today. And you know what, too? While I'm thinking about it, I really thought the kids had school off today. They did not. Nope. They were on a 2-hour delay, however, because of snow. But no, they had school. And I was really thinking on Friday, I was like, I get a whole long weekend. The husband will be home and everything. And then I was asking him, I'm like, are you home Monday? And he's like, no, why? I said, it's President's Day. He said, so? They don't care. So I was like, okay. So anyway. But we had decided on Friday that since we wasn't going to be able to stream the trial today, because there is no trial today, then we would just chit chat. And I come across something. Have you guys seen the new? Well, it's not a new case, I don't think. I know, Patricia. Me too. Rude. Pulling my inner QB out here. Rude. I thought, I was going to ask you guys, have you guys heard of this case of out of South Carolina, Brandon Barnes? Says Brandon Barnes, this is from Court TV. It says Brandon Barnes is charged with the murder of his wife, Jessica Barnes, who was allegedly strangled to death on August 2nd, 2024. Jessica was not reported missing until September 10th, and her remains were found 1 week later in the Twin Lakes area of Pickens County, South Carolina. So 3 days ago ish, I found a hearing, a preliminary hearing. He's got a couple of co-defendants, his lova and another friend of theirs, I guess. Two so it's him and 2 women on trial for, well, he was the one that allegedly murdered her, and the other 2 allegedly helped dispose of the victim's body. Okay? I don't know when a trial is set for them, but there is a preliminary hearing. A man accused of brutally murdering his wife is due to appear in court with his lover and another woman who allegedly helped him dispose of the victim's body. Have you guys heard about this case? Let me know if you guys have heard about this. Yeah, I mean, I had seen the names, and I kind of remember, like, hearing a smidge about it, but, yeah. They're having a preliminary hearing, or they did have 3 days ago, and it's, I don't know, not too awful long. I thought we might look at it and see if it's something we wanna keep up with. Lead investigator testifies about the death, during this hearing. Thought it might be kind of interesting. I don't know. Let me share it with you guys. Oh, and side note, do you guys wanna know what I have been watching all weekend long? I have not watched any true crime. What I have watched all weekend long is, well, a couple different things, okay? One thing is, have y'all ever heard of Dana K. White on YouTube? She's like a decluttering your house guru. She's got short, curly hair, super cute. If you don't follow her and you're into decluttering, she's amazing. Just saying. Just type her name in YouTube, you'll find her. It's Dana K, just the letter K, and then White, her last name, White. She's amazing. But anyway, I fell into the rabbit hole of her channel this weekend. And yeah. Thus why I was cleaning and organizing my desk yesterday, right? Anyway. P. Lola says, nope, I cleaned closets yesterday, though. I'm done for 2 years now. Well, there you go. There you go. There you go. Oh, and then I also, the other thing I was watching, was because this is Kathy over at Gossip Rumor and Innuendo's fault. Okay? She was talking about Pilates. If you know, you know, right? She was talking about Pilates, and I was like, you know what? That's something I've never really done. And so I'm like, let me look up some Pilates for beginners, like, and overweight even, right? Because I've been telling you guys, and Patricia, had talked about this in the chat couple weeks ago about my lower back killing me since I've gained so much weight. And Patricia had mentioned like core strength training, not strength training, but like core, building your core. Hold on, I have to cough. Anyway, and I know they do a lot of that with like Pilates and yoga and all that stuff, but that's something I've never tried before. And I'm like, I know me, and if I get down in the floor, I'm going to be rolling around all over the place like a beached whale trying to get up off of the floor, I'm like, can I not just do Pilates in my bed? Like, can I use my bed as my yoga mat? Cuz I get down in the floor and I can't get back up. I'm just being honest here. Morgana says, I have a Pilates machine. I used to use it. Well, there you go. But, yeah. So I put a few things in a playlist I might check out this week when the mood strikes. If it strikes, let's hope it strikes. Because goodness knows I need to get to moving something. I'm going to take the rising crust pizza off just because it has nothing to do with this case we're getting ready to look at. Hold on just a minute. There we go. And side note, while I'm thinking about it, if you guys missed it, make sure to check out Gossip, Rumor, and Innuendo's video from last night. If you haven't caught it, she hit 15,000 subscribers, huge milestone. But she invited me onto a live stream with her last night, and I went joined her on her channel. It was so much fun. Hey, Kel. Hey, Kel. I almost said Kay because you said hey, hey. And I was like, hey. I wanted to say hey and Kel, and it was going to come out Kay. Hey, hey, KK. But anyway, if you guys missed it, check it out. It was so good. It was so much fun. It was a blast. And I was honored that she invited me on there. You two are a riot together. It was fun. I mean, I don't know. I kind of felt like it was what's that old children's book? Something like The City Mouse and the Country Mouse. I feel like that would be, me and her, because she was trying to talk about, she called it an equestrian center. And I'm like, she was asking, she's like, what are those things that you can go to? And they have horses and a big house that the horses live in. And I'm like, a farm? It was just cute. It was super cute. But she was talking about an equestrian center. I've never heard that term, but I know what she means. It's where people just randomly go that want to ride horses and stuff, right? But it was a lot of fun. And then also, if you missed Tanika's live stream last night at 6:45, it was great. It was great. It was so good. She had an ex-cellmate of Sarah Boone came on her channel and she interviewed her. And it was amazing. Amazing. So good. What's her YouTube link? Did Morgana get it? Awesome. Thank you, Morgana Banana. Thank you, thank you. She put the link here in the chat. It was so much fun. So much fun. Chaloon, ma'am, we have missed you. I hope you're feeling better. I hope you're feeling better. Whatever came of the, well, I think I've found out that you did not have pneumonia, correct? No pneumonia, correct? But I really hope you're feeling a lot better. Oh, and Morgana posted Tanika's 2 cents too. Thank you. Morgana's just manhandling that moderator wrench really, really good. Morgana, thank you, ma'am. A bit better, but still sick. No pneumonia, thankfully. Oh my gosh, I can't believe you're still sick. It's been like 2 weeks now, hasn't it? Goodness. I don't like that. Mm-mm. I don't like that. It'll be a month on Friday. Oh my God. Wow. So has it been just one long, like, or have you had like a couple different viruses back to back? Morgana says, "You're welcome, Jenny. I'm on it today. Look out." uh, all right. I am, and yeah, there you go. Make sure to hit that thumbs up button, you guys. I appreciate it. If you are new here, I would love for you to wave at us in the chat. You don't have to chitter chat if you don't want to. I know a lot of people are like, "Nah, I just want to watch. I don't really want to talk." But I would love it if you would at least give us a wave or a hi or a heart or something in the chat. So that we can say hello to you and welcome you here. Chaloon says, "Doctor says it's that wicked flu." Eek. Most likely, but it's just hanging on. I'm sorry, honey. Well, I hope you feel better really, really soon. Hi, Dina. Hi, Dina. Welcome. Oh, my goodness. Look at that dog. Oh, my gosh. What kind of dog is that? Super cute. Is that like a Maltese? I forget. So cute. Hi, Teresa. Good to see you back. Good to see you back. Welcome, welcome, Dina. Yorkie. Yorkie cotton mix. Very cute. Very, very cute. Kel says, "Welcome, lurkers. We appreciate you. We absolutely do." I'll be a bit quiet in chat waiting for my energy back, but thank you to all the hellos. You're welcome, honey. No worries. Hey, Margaret. Good to see you too, ma'am. Good to see you too. You are in the right place. We're getting ready to start this. This is so over on Court TV, you know how them and Law and Crime both always call the trials these fancy names, right? Well, Court TV is calling this one the Secret Lover Murder Trial. Secret Lover. Yeah, that's what we are. Who sang that? Somebody tell me in the chat who sang that. But this is a case in South Carolina versus Brandon Barnes. And this guy on the stand is the lead investigator. So I want to check this out. But it's funny because there's two victims, not not victims. Let me pull those words back and put them back in my mouth because they're not victims. Okay. 2 co-defendants that are sitting at the defense table. You'll see here in a minute. They're both very young women. Very young women. And the main defendant, the Brandon Barnes dude, he apparently waived his right to appear today. Who does that sound like? Anybody in the chat? Anybody in the chat? Atlantic Star. Okay. Yeah. That goes to show my age. I love 80s music. I'm not great at always remembering who sings what, but I love me some 80s music. Okay. So I'm going to start this. Let me go back. You can see here. These are the girls, okay?
To hold these preliminary examinations at the same time.
Yes, Your Honor.
Both parties with attorneys for the defendants, and I don't think there's any objection from the solicitor's office.
No, sir, Your Honor.
I always say this, on cases such as these, I realize that these cases can be emotional, and I accept that fact. I know there may be.
You see these 2 young girls in the orange over here at the defense table, right? And the Brandon Barnes dude is, let me see if I can find a photo of him real quick. Hold on just a moment. Hold on. I'll go ahead and hit play and I'll go find the photo of him so you guys can see what he looks like. And I'll show you a picture of the victim as well. Jessica Barnes, his wife.
Victims, families in the courtroom, please understand that my first priority is to protect the process and to protect the quorum in the courtroom. So if there's any emotional outburst, I will remove you and or clear the courtroom for just the parties to be here. But I would say that just as a warning. So do we have any objection to waiving the reading of the warrants?
None from the defense, Your Honor.
None from all.
All right. Solicitor, if you would call your first client.
Yes, sir, Judge. State calls Steve Westcott.
Okay, Officer Westcott, if you would approach the stand, be prepared to be sworn. And if you raise your right hand and be prepared to be sworn, you swear and affirm that testimony about you is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, sir.
All right, please answer any questions about this the solicitor has.
Officer Westcott, can you state your full name and your position with the Pendleton PD for the court?
Officer Stephen Westcott, I'm patrolman with Pendleton Police Department.
And all the parties are aware of this, but just for the court's knowledge, you are not the affiant on these warrants, but you are the chief investigative officer, lead investigator in this case, correct?
Yes, sir.
And did the offenses that led to these warrants relate to Ms. Mims and Ms. Tippett? For Ms. Mims, the warrant ending in 933, 934, and 935, and the warrant ending in 936, 937, and 938 relating to Ms. Tippett. Did those offenses happen in Anderson County and more specifically within the city of Pendleton?
Yes, sir.
This case has a lot of background, but can you tell the court how you established probable cause for these warrants and how your investigators and officers in this case established probable cause?
Yes, sir. I'm going to go back to an incident which was not this incident. On July 31st, myself and Officer Bishop went to Jessica Barnes' mother's residence at 456 Jackson Street on a civil disturbance. At the end of it, Jessica Barnes was transported via ambulance to the admin hospital. Separating from that, on the 10th of September, Ms. Marmara, Jessica's mother, came into the office to report her daughter as missing. So a month about a month and a half it transpired.
So this case started out as a missing person case, correct?
Yes, sir, on the 10th of September.
And just for the court, for the record, the underlying felony that took place was a murder, correct?
Correct.
And who's the defendant that's charged with murder?
Brandon Barnes.
Okay.
Jessica's up.
All right, now let's, from the date of the murder, what's the date of the murder?
That we determined that to be the 1st of August.
Okay, August 1st or August 2nd.
Okay, I got their picture. So I'll show you real quick. It's probably going to cover up the whole screen, but you can I hope you can still hear me talk. So this is a screen grab from one of the, I think from Court TV. Also, I think from one of their previous videos, but the husband, Brandon Barnes, is the one on the right side of the screen, obviously, with the wonky hairdo. And then on the left was the missing persons flyer, and that's his wife, Jessica Barnes. And so you got a couple different pictures of her here, pretty young woman. But that is her, and that is him. They're like babies. I don't get it. Young people. Weird. Okay, let's go back to this. So did I hear him right? He said that a month and a half before she disappeared, she was seen at the hospital, transported by ambulance. Did I hear that right? Because I was busy looking for these pictures of them and I missed it.
Somewhere in that time frame. Can you just tell the court now relating to obstruction, accessory after the fact, and misprision of felony, what these defendants and what their activity was to lead to those warrants from August the 1st or 2nd until the time they were actually arrested?
On the 10th of September, after Ms. Mara had reported her daughter missing to us, we went to the address at 102 Laurel Drive and made contact with Brandon Barnes, Victoria Tippett, and Kendall Mims at the pool house located at that address. Again, the initial investigation was speaking with the three of them concerning the report of a missing person for Jessica Barnes. The answers that we were given that day, one of which was a written voluntary statement from Victoria Tippett.
Hey, girl. How are you? Wow, what a live stream. What a live stream last night. That was amazing. That was absolutely amazing. And I watched your video today too. That was a good little morning after. Hey, Akasha. Hey, sup. I was just telling them earlier that they need to go watch that it was so good. Yeah, it was, Morgana. Absolutely. It was great. I love those sort of interviews. Just because of how real, I mean, that, and it was good to hear from somebody else's mouth what it was like, with Sarah Boone. Yeah, it was really good. Oh. I have to go back and replay part of it because I missed some of it. But yeah. There you go. Morgana linked it again. Thanks, Morgana Banana. Tanika, have you heard of this case, this Brandon Barnes from South Carolina? Have you heard about this? Secret lovers, yeah, that's what we are. Da, da, da. Tanika says, thank you, everyone. Stay here with us, though. I haven't heard, but I'm ready to learn. I've heard about it, but I haven't heard about it. You know what I mean? Like, I've seen the names and kind of had a little bitty bit of information about, like, I just knew the, like, back cover of the book that tells you what it's about, the description, but that's pretty much it. Look at the look on this dude's face right now. He looks like he's gonna, like, I don't know what. But they had a preliminary hearing 3 days ago, but the dude, Brandon, apparently allegedly strangled his wife, Jessica, who's a very pretty girl. Here, I'll show you again their photos. Look at this. They're babies too. Look how young. That's Brandon on the right, the defendant. And he strangled his wife, the gal here on the left. And then his secret lover and another friend of theirs, another female friend of theirs, hid the body. So I think a week after she was reported missing or something like that, she was found. So they're having a preliminary hearing. That's what we're looking at right now. It streamed 3 days ago. But the two gals are his co-defendants. They're sitting at the defense table during this hearing, but Brandon decided to waive his rights. Total Adam Montgomery stunt right there. But yeah, I thought we would take a look at it. It's something different, something new. Akasha says, oh, this story is crazy. They weren't, apparently, right, Gail? Right? No. Oh, well. But this guy here on the stand is the lead investigator. So we're kind of getting a firsthand knowledge and information, I guess, so to speak. I figured we'd do something a little off kilter since there's no court today in the Rose Petal murder trial. So I saw this on Court TV and I was like, ooh, let's talk about this. Let's look at this.
Where that Victoria said she was the last person to have seen Jessica Barnes on 31 July is what she wrote on her written statement, that she had come to the pool house, walked to the pool house. Victoria said that she had been outside walking, holding Valentina, the baby of Kendall, when she saw Jessica go to the pool house. Victoria went in the pool house, still holding Valentina, said that there was a conversation with Jessica, asked her where, what she was doing. She said she was packing some belongings going to Michigan, but she wouldn't give any further information. Victoria then said that Jessica then left, and that was the last she had seen.
Judge, may I object for just a minute? May we approach that?
You got a bone to pick with somebody. You don't like something. all need a white noise machine. Secret lovers. Yeah, sorry, I can't get that song out of my head now. Hmm.
As already said,
Yes, sir, twice.
Officer Westcott, can you, when we refer to the minor child, can we just refer to them as the minor child?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. And you can keep going forward. So you were at the point where Ms. Tippett had given y'all a voluntary statement.
Lord, Margaret.
After we got the voluntary statement from Ms. Tippett, it was verbal from Ms. Mims.
can you hold on? Is this being delayed or is this live?
I don't think it's going out live.
Okay, so any mention of any minor thing could be good action.
I'll let him know.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Victoria was the only one who gave us a written statement. It was a verbal interview with Ms. Mims and Mr. Barnes. Mr. Barnes said that Jessica previously has left for extended periods of time, so he wasn't concerned about her being gone at this point. Ms. Mims had very little to say.
Okay, so the chick with the matching pin to her matching blazer needs to be a little less loud with her reading glasses. Just saying.
It's very deferential towards Mr. Barnes. After we got a written statement, that concluded the missing persons investigation we had. We had very little.
Sounds like
at that
those
point.
stupid clackers.
Investigation continued over the following days. We got information from Ronald Heron that he had tracking devices personally that he had put on vehicles that were registered to Brandon Barnes.
Can I stop you for just a second? Can you tell the court who Ronald Heron is?
He is the grandfather of Kendall.
Okay.
He's the property owner of 102.
And what's the relationship between 102 Laurel, where all of the defendants live in there, correct?
Yes, sir. Okay. So 102 Laurel has a main house on it, which is where Mr. Heron resides, and there's a pool house on the property as well, which is where Barnes and Tippett and Minor Child will reside.
All right, let's go back to those trackers. Mr. Heron had trackers on these vehicles?
On the Chevy HHR registered Brandon Barnes and a Kia registered, I believe it was in Mr. Heron's name, but it was used by Kendall Mims.
And just for the court's knowledge, those trackers were on these vehicles prior to law enforcement ever being involved in this case?
Yes, sir. Law enforcement had nothing to do with the trackers.
Why did he put the trackers on the vehicles?
And the way that she looks at him when he's asking questions is annoying to me as well. I don't, she's getting on my nerves.
What he told us was that because he had a financial interest in them, he was the lien holder, paid for the vehicles. And there was some type of issue from Mr. Barnes' previous relationship that he didn't feel safe with Kendall. And there was some other incident that we were not involved in. So he put the trackers on these two vehicles.
Okay. I'm going to jump a little bit. So eventually Mrs. Barnes's body, it goes from a missing person case to a murder, correct?
Yes, sir.
And how did y'all discover that?
Based on the tracker information from these vehicles, we were able to learn that the vehicles, particularly the HHR, had made multiple trips from the Laurel Drive address out to a location on Twin Lakes Drive, which is in Pickens County. And at this particular location, there's a pathway which leads down to Lake Hartwell, some type of quarry. And where we found there were multiple trips for extended periods, starting on August 1st to I believe August 4th or 5th. where the vehicle's out there for, anywhere from a half an hour to, more than 2 hours at a time. And then the vehicle would return to Laurel Drive and then go back to this particular location on Twin Lakes Road. So with that information, seeing that there's no activity on Jessica Barnes' social media accounts, no activity on various cell phones. Mother, with the initial report being she hadn't heard from her daughter in over a month, and had received no phone calls, no text messages. From that information, we put together a plan to go search the location using various resources, including a canine cadaver dog, which is not law enforcement; it is a private entity. We did that on September 19th.
She's 12 years old.
Out at the location around where the tracker indicated the vehicle had been for extended periods. During the course of this search, we had multiple search teams in a number of locations. Officer Bishop and an officer from Clemson University found a location which indicated something had been burned off of the trail. Would have been no more than a quarter mile, I'm thinking, from the parking area where the HHR had been repeatedly. I was with the canine cadaver dog, made our way over to that location, and the cadaver dog made an indication that there were human remains there.
Hey, David.
A coroner, Candy Kelly from Pickens County, was contacted. She came to the scene. She indicated that there seemed to be human remains. A Clemson University professor, Weisensee, also an anthropologist, came out to the scene. She searched through the burned pile, and she said that yes, there were human remains in this pile. So from that point, the scene was secured. It was.
Oh my God. Another burn pile? Is that what I just heard? Another burn pile. Did they just say, did I hear that right? They just said, he just said a burn pile, human remains. Lord have mercy. Another burn pile. How many burn pile trials have we looked at the last few months? God. It's freezing here, says David. I'm sorry. Margaret said I didn't hear. I was chewing celery. Oh my God.
Getting later in the afternoon, Pickens County stayed on the scene. SLED, who was also involved in this search, they came out on the following day, on the 20th.
I'm gonna stop you right there. Can you whose human remains did those end up being?
Ultimately, they were the dental remains which were found in the pile. There were 3 teeth and a piece of a jawbone. It was determined to be the remains of Jessica Barnes.
And there's limited remains from them being burned, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Were there any other remains found in any other locations?
Yes, sir. Following this search on the 20th, ultimately there was a search warrant conducted following interview with the 3 suspects on the 1st of October.
We have both. We have a fire pit and a burn pile, just saying. But you ain't going to find no human remains in them. No. Mm-mm.
Over when they were ultimately arrested, and during their interviews, Victoria Tippett had said that there was a bucket, like a 5-gallon bucket that was out at the property 102 Laurel Drive, which also contained some of Jessica Barnes' remains.
I want to thank you for that. I want to jump now to, we know that there was a murder that took place. Can you tell the court how Ms. Tippett and Ms. Mims either learned of the murder, had knowledge of the murder, who was there, who wasn't there, that sort of thing?
Yes, sir. So when the murder took place, in the residence, Victoria Tippett was there with a minor child when the murder took place by Brandon Barnes.
And what was the manner of death? How was she killed?
She was choked to death.
And how did you learn of that?
Ultimately, it was through the interviews.
Okay, so basically the defendants confessed to her being strangled.
Yes, sir, on 1 October. There were a number of interviews prior to that where they had ample opportunity to tell us what had taken place, and they had never confessed to what had happened.
Okay. And now I just want to be clear on who was present when the murder took place.
Brandon Barnes strangled Jessica Barnes. Victoria Tippett was present with the minor child.
So Ms. Tippett's knowledge of the murder was that she witnessed the murder, basically.
And she was in the room when it took place.
And where was Ms. Mims at the time of the murder?
She was at work.
Okay. So she wasn't on location when
She
the
was
murder took
not
place.
present when the murder took place.
Okay. Now I want you to tell the court a little bit about how Ms. Mims came to learn of the murder.
I'm assuming that the one that was there when it happened is the one here on the right, because she kind of winced and closed her eyes when they said that. And the gal over here on the left, I'm assuming is the one that wasn't there but came to help. That's just my assumption. I do not know. Also, I was going to say, how do they know if her remains, if she was in the burn pile, how are they going to know she was strangled, right? If they found was teeth and jawbone, and well, I mean, I think they found more than that, but I'm just saying, let's see. David, it was so here, let me give you a photo. So this guy here on the right, his name is Brandon Barnes, and he's charged with his wife's murder. And that wife is the one here on the left. This is the same girl, the one in the picture here, and these two photos are of the same person. And her name is Jessica Barnes. So that's who he killed. But the two girls that are in the courtroom, one of them is his secret lover, and the other one is a mutual friend. And they helped dispose of her body. And he waived his right to be in the courtroom today. So, I know they do look 12, right? Yep. Dina says one of the defendants rolled. I would assume, unless he admitted it, but if he admitted it, then what is his defense? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's his defense? No idea.
It was determined that she was told what had happened when she came home from work, and at this point,
Right.
Jessica Barnes' remains had already been placed into a large Rubbermaid type tote that was purchased by Brandon Barnes and Victoria Tippett using Kendall Mims' debit card at the Central Walmart.
And so her body was in a plastic tote. Is that what?
Yes, sir.
Lord have mercy.
And when was the tote that the body went into purchased, before or after the murder?
After the murder.
Okay. And how did y'all come to find out that they had purchased it at Walmart?
Sledge using Kevin Tyner had found that there was audit or video surveillance of the purchase at the Walmart, and you can see Brandon Barnes and Victoria Tippett walking out of the Walmart with a tote and a shovel that they they had purchased on top of it. So
And that was prior to Kendall Mims having knowledge that this murder had taken place, correct?
at the time the tote was purchased, yes,
What, she hadn't returned home from work at that time when they had purchased the tote, correct?
that I'm not sure.
Okay. But ultimately, Kendall came home from work.
Correct.
And how did she learn of the murder?
She was told by Brandon
Okay.
Barnes and Victoria Tippett where it taken place.
Okay. All right. Now that they all know that this incident has taken place, walk the court through their actions from, the time the murder took place until you've already testified to her body eventually being burned. Tell the court a little bit about how they got from the pool house with the body to the Twin Lakes Road location.
So Mr. Heron also has a ring camera system at his residence. You can, at some point, you can see the tote being brought out of the pool house by Brandon Barnes with the assistance of Ms. Mims and Victoria Tippett due to it, the dead weight of the body being in the tote. It's put in the HHR. Again, it's driven around. Apparently, what they told us was they were searching for a location to dispose of the remains before they ultimately ended at the location on Twin Lakes Road in Pickens County.
And did the tracking devices show y'all them driving around?
Yes, sir.
But they also, in their statements and interviews, explain this process.
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's tell the court how they eventually picked Twin Lakes Road.
From what Brandon Barnes had said, it was a location. Well, they had checked a location in Georgia and determined that it wasn't a good location for whatever their reasoning was.
So they've got footage. They've got Ring doorbell footage of these Hanyaks taking that girl's body out in a Rubbermaid tote. Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy. Mm-mm-mm. Dumb, right? P. Lola, this is a new to me case. This man named Brandon Barnes murders his wife, Jessica Barnes. And with the help of his secret lover and another mutual friend of theirs, they disposed of the body. Apparently, there's a burn pile involved. Who'd have thunk, right? So creative. How many more are we going to hear about this year of burn piles? I can't. But they're a very young couple. Very young couple. I'm still not sure. The underage child that they're talking about, the minor, is that whose kid is that? Whose minor child is that? I don't know. These criminals never learn. Walmart has cameras everywhere. You can't buy a murder kit at Walmart. They even have eye-level cameras in some Walmarts. Yeah. Of course there is. Dang, they're not creative at all, right? Crazy thing about the burn piles seems to be they always find human remains. Maybe you try something else if you're trying to get away with something, right? It's apparent that they don't watch enough true crime TV, right? They don't watch it enough. They don't. Yes, Tanika, yes. Self-checkout at Walmart has 4K cameras, yeah. They're getting since they went to the whole self-checkout movement the last several years, yeah. And my husband and I were talking. He said that he heard that some Walmarts now have some sort of AI thing where if you move one item past the cash register scanner part without actually scanning it first, the assistant comes to check out what you're doing, you know? It's so weird. Let's see. All the self-checkouts have eye level for sure. I worked at Walmart for 30 years. There you go. The days of grainy videos are long gone. Right, people steal. They do. Worked at Walmart in my hometown, best coworkers. We had so much fun. I worked the customer service desk. The returns I got, I could write a book. Oh my God, I bet. Meyer has those. If you look sketchy in any way to the checkout at Meyer, it triggers. I was it was so funny because I'm gonna be honest. I had a couple years ago, I was really struggling with plantar fasciitis in my right foot. Well, I was getting ready to go on a trip to New York. What happens when you go to New York, right? You walk and walk and walk some more. And I was like trying to buy up all of the good things for your shoes to help with plantar fasciitis, right? And I was in the fitness section of the store where they've got like the exercise medicine balls and all the like training and fitness equipment things. And I was looking specifically at the wraps and things meant for plantar fasciitis. And I was like super interested in this one box, but I couldn't make out what it really was by the box. And so what do? I open the box, right? I open the box. Literally 30 seconds later, 2 Walmart employees are right here at my side pretending to be like, what do you call it? Price checking or moving things to like they got their hardcore eyeballs right on top of me, you know? And I'm like, y'all, I'm good. I'm gonna buy this, but I promise I'm not gonna take it. I'm gonna pay for it. And I ended up taking that and paying for it. But if I didn't want it, I would have put it back in the box and put the box back on the shelf. So, mm. My Walmart takedown by Jenny, right? Lord, I could tell you all kinds of stories, ma'am. Okay. Anyway, oh, you were a CSM, David? You work customer service? I watched so many body cam footage of Walmart shoplifters. Wow. Nabbed in the Walmart foot section by Jenny. Yeah.
Ended up at the Twin Lakes
Lord have
location,
mercy.
according to Mr. Barnes, it was the first place he Jessica Barnes had gone on a date, so it had some kind of sentimental value to him. They tried to dig using the shovel they had purchased at Walmart. Then we were able to find that spot where they had tried to dig on the trail.
So they
Before it
bought a
turned
shovel at
in,
Walmart.
they couldn't dig or get through the hard packed dirt. At which point they made the determination to burn the remains. And while this was taking place, and again, it was a number of trips that they made out there, we have text messages between Victoria Mims and Victoria Tippett and Kendall Mims, that Kendall Mims was out at the roadway keeping watch while Victoria Tippett and Brandon Barnes were at the remain site attempting to dispose of the body.
And did they? So all three of the co-defendants were at the Twin Lakes Road location?
Yes, sir.
Was there any other time that they were at the Twin Lakes Road location that you know of?
Multiple times.
Okay.
I roughly 10 times between the time of the murder and when we discovered it.
Was the car data, the tracker data, the only evidence that you had with them out there? But you also had the text messages. Was there anything else that showed that they were out there?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. When did SLED get involved in this case? When it became a missing persons case?
No, sir. It would have been a few days later. I want to say it was roughly the 14th of September when Mr. Heron told us about the trackers being on the vehicles.
Okay. And you mentioned the Ring doorbell cameras, and I apologize if you've already went over it, but can you tell the court what the Ring doorbell cameras captured the night of the incident?
I'm not positive of the exact dates right now, but at various times, Kendall Mims is seen carrying gas cans, which would have been stored behind the pool house. I believe they were blue gas cans. And SLED was able to determine that an accelerant was used at the burn site. And at some point, as I said earlier, it wasn't just a burn site. There were cut trees that were placed over the burn site. And Mr. Heron has a battery-operated saw, which you can see on the camera, was taken from under the carport and brought back.
Okay. I'm going to jump back to the bucket. Would the bucket with the remains in it, bucket already at Mr. Heron's home, or was it purchased at some point, or are you aware of that?
They had purchased.
Hey, Melinda, good to see you. Good to see you. I'm staying warm. I'm in my nice flannel sweatshirt. It's got pockets. I love this thing. Hope you're staying warm too. David, this is just a preliminary hearing. I don't know when the trial is supposed to be set. I'm not sure when it is, to be honest. I tried to look earlier. I'll look again and see if I can find it. But I'm not sure at this point. Not sure. All right, let's go a little bit longer.
Just a bucket at Lowe's, as well as a 50-pound bag of, I don't think it was Quikrete, but that type of product. And then ultimately, the remains were put in a different bucket, not the bucket they had purchased at Lowe's.
And who was present when they purchased that bucket and the concrete?
All three parties were at the Lowe's.
And in their interviews, did all three parties know what was in that bucket and once y'all discovered it?
Yes, sir. We would not have known about the bucket had it not told us the bucket was there, because the bucket, we had to obtain a separate search warrant following the interviews, and the bucket was away from where the pool house was in it, kind of hidden under some not debris, but some overgrowth that was there at the property.
Okay. I just have a few more questions for you. Between the time of the death and the time of their arrest, you mentioned that the defendants had went down to, did you say Georgia?
Yes, sir.
Did they go anywhere else in that window of time between August 1st and when they were arrested, I believe October the 1st or so?
Yes, sir. I want to say it was around September 14th, 15th. Mr. Heron had called me and said that, wanted to let me know that they were up in Tennessee. And he had this information via the tracker, which he had already given permission to us, both verbally and in writing, to use his login information. Following his phone call, I did log in and saw that they had made a trip from Pendleton up to Tennessee, and then ultimately they drove west across Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, ultimately staying in Colorado. Mr. Heron said because Mr. Heron is co-owner of a banking account with Ms. Mims. He said that he could see that they had a room booked in Colorado for 2 days. They checked out after the first day and then came back to Pendleton.
And why did they go out there? A vacation or?
What they said was they went to Tennessee for vacation. Why they went further, ultimately they told us it was due to the pressure they were receiving via social media and our questioning.
Was there any video at the burn site?
Yes, sir. So following the information that they had gone west, we had already located the burn site. And when we saw that they were returning and getting fairly close to South Carolina, SLED put a trail camera out at the recovery site. And upon their return to Pendleton, one of the first things they did was went out to the burn site, and on the trail camera, you can see with the tracker information, the vehicle goes to the burn site. They get out, they walk right to the burn site, and where their images are captured looking at where the burn site had been.
Okay, I have 2 or 3 more questions. Was there any blood at the scene of the murder that you know of?
The initial search and then following search didn't indicate anything with the various means that SLED forensics used, but during the interview, Victoria had stated that she and Brandon had gone to Food Line to purchase bleach, and there were 2 other products, I can't recall off the top of my head, but they had obtained those because following the strangling, that some type of fluid had come out of Jessica's mouth, so they used that. They made these purchases to clean up that small spot.
Okay, and that was Victoria and Brandon.
Yes, sir.
And you've already testified to it a little bit, but y'all spoke to the 3 defendants multiple times between the time of the murder and the time they were arrested, correct?
Yes, sir.
And were they truthful with y'all throughout that time?
Maybe.
They were not truthful.
No.
And they never told you what actually happened until the interviews right before they were arrested.
October 1st, yes, sir.
While Miss Barnes was missing, did the defendants do anything in the community to sort of look like they were looking for her? Does that make sense to you?
Yes, sir. One evening, I was transferred a phone call from Brandon Barnes where he was asking if he could get the missing person flyer that the town had created, and he was told that he could print it off the town website. He also, the 3 of them, Brandon, Victoria, and Kendall, at some point met with a reporter in the downtown square area Brandon was apparently carrying the remains of his deceased child. And spoke with the reporter, indicating that they were attempting to search for Jessica.
Did Brandon ask y'all for flyers for her missing persons case? Was that after the ultimate date of that Miss Barnes had died?
Well after.
Okay. And did Miss Tippett or Miss Mims have any activity in regards to putting out missing persons flyers?
I don't know that they put out any flyers, but they were with him when they met with the reporter.
And that was when he was putting out flyers, is that correct?
I don't know that they put out flyers.
Okay.
He was told that he could print them off. I don't know if he did or not.
Okay. But so why did they met with the reporter to talk about her being missing? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And all three of them were there at that time speaking with the reporter. Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to inform the court of related to these warrants?
No, sir.
I have no further questions at this time.
Thank you, everybody. Please support. Thank you for being here today, Officer Westcott. You said earlier in your testimony that the missing persons report was filed.
I'm looking. I'm not been able to see when there is actually a trial. I did read though, this hearing here. I didn't know exactly what this hearing was for. But I found out, let me look. Let me go back. Where did I see that at? Here it says on Friday, Tippett and Mims appeared. Where did it go? Appeared in court without Brandon, who had waived his right to appear before the proceeding began. Neither woman looked at the other during the hours-long hearing, after which the judge found probable cause and bound the defendants for trial. So, I guess that's what the preliminary hearing was for them to determine whether or not there was probable cause for them to remain in the, Tanika, I'm not sure if both of them were. I know that one of them was, and the other, I think, was a roommate. Or a mutual friend, something like that. Here it says Pendleton police officer Steve Westcott, which is who we're listening to now, took the stand and revealed new details about the murder and disposal of the victim's body. Westcott said that Brandon killed Jessica while trying to restrain her in a WWE move, and that Mims was not home at the time. Mims returned home from work to find the victim's body had already been placed into a large plastic tote, which surveillance video showed Brandon and Tippett purchasing from Walmart. So you can see the tote being brought out of the pool house by Brandon Barnes with the assistance of Miss Mims and Miss Tippett. Westcott said it's put in the HHR. I don't know what an HHR is. I heard them saying that, but I don't know what that is. What is an HHR? Anybody know what an HHR is? They were searching for a location to dispose of the remains before they ultimately ended at the location. And then it says, trigger warning. We've already heard this, but I'm going to read this part here. Prosecutors say 3 of Jessica's teeth and part of her jawbone were found at a site off of a hiking trail, while more of her remains were found in a 5-gallon bucket on the property where all 3 suspects lived. Westcott testified that the group initially tried to dig a hole to bury Jessica's remains, but ultimately burned them. Mims, which is the roommate, previously appeared in court, listen to this, in December 2024, where she was denied bond after an emotional hearing. At that hearing, Mims' defense attorney told the judge that her client had suffered severe abuse at Brandon's hands, including strangulation, that left her experiencing stroke-like symptoms. Wow. Wowzers. Yeah, I think I didn't know if it was some kind of a car or like a not a four-wheeler, but like a something like that. You know what I mean? Like some sort of an ATV or something. Margaret says Chevy HHR, maybe. I don't know. Is it a truck or a car, an SUV? I don't know. Let's continue on and see what the cross, how this cross goes.
By Ms. Rivera on September
10th.
10th. Okay. And there was
Okay.
nothing from anyone else before that date?
Yes, ma'am.
There was, okay.
No, there was nothing.
Okay, sorry. So September 10th. And you said the first thing y'all did was you went to 102 Laurel Drive?
Yes, ma'am.
And you spoke to all three parties?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, were you there personally, or did you watch any of the interviews?
I was there.
And did you speak to them alone, or were they together?
When we initially made contact, all three of them were inside the residence. Eventually, Officer Middlecom in Victoria asked her to step outside with her to speak with them, or with her, while myself, Officer Bishop, were speaking with Ms. Mims and Brandon Hart inside the residence.
Okay, so Ms. Mims was inside Mr. Barnes' room?
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay, I just Googled. They kind of remind me of a PT Cruiser. Tanika says, Wiki says Chevrolet HHR, an initialism for Heritage High Roof, is a retro-styled high-roofed five-passenger front-wheel drive wagon launched by the American automaker Chevrolet. If you look at it, hold on, let me get a picture of it. It kind of reminds me of like a PT Cruiser. Let me save this. Save it so you guys can see it. La la la. Downloads. Nope. Where did I put that at? Where did you go? Well, where did it go? Oh, there it is. Hold on. Okay. Here, you guys. I'll show you. This is what it looks like. Yeah, that's what it looks like. But to me, it reminds me of like a PT Cruiser. I don't know if it's a lot bigger than a PT Cruiser, but You get the gist, right? Okay, now we know. Tanika said it does. Back in my day, high roof meant a station wagon. My daddy had one with the wood panels, and we'd argue who got the rear facing seats. Oh my gosh. It does, right? It does look almost just like a PT Cruiser. It looks a little bit longer than a PT Cruiser, but yeah. When I honestly, whenever I was seeing the HHR and heard them, I was in my brain for some reason was thinking like a golf cart slash four-wheeler, some sort of something like that. I don't know why, but anyway, there we go. Now we know what it is. Oh, thank you, Tanika. You're super sweet, ma'am. Tanika just gifted 5 Crime Cafe memberships. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, ma'am. Let me give you some sparkle. Y'all ready for some sparkle? We need a little bit, right? Let me give you some sparkle. Fun, fun. Thank you, thank you. Now I have to go see who got the 5. I have to go see who got them. It won't show me who got them in StreamYard, but I need to see who got them. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Oh, and I also heard, sorry, this is totally off topic here. This is our chitter chatter Monday, okay? So anybody in the chat who's watching on the replay that's like, hurry up, hit the play button, let's go. This is the chitter chat time, okay? Okay. I get people who get impatient with me. If you see the word chat in the title, that means there's going to be lots of stopping and chit-chatting. Just an FYI. Don't make me do this. Don't make me do that. Because I will if I have to. Yeah, it might not be. Hey, Courtney. Hey, Courtney. Good to see ya. Hold on. I got to go see who got Courtney. Oops, sorry. My phone. I had the volume all the way up. Who got them? David got one. Yay. Oh, my goodness. Kathy got one. Akasha got one. Crochet and Crime got one. And Judy Bennett. Congratulations, you guys. Yay. Welcome, welcome. Welcome, welcome. Thanks, Tanika. How is it on corners? Can it handle corners? Lord, Lord, Lord. All right. We're going to get back to it. Also, side note, this tie that he has on is completely orange. Why would you wear an orange tie unless it was Halloween? Or unless you wanted to match with your clients. That is orange, right? It looks like it's orange and purple. Anyway. All right, here we go. Kind of loud.
Now, when you got word about the missing persons case and after you went out and spoke to the parties, did you have an opportunity to run like a background check on these individuals?
At that point, there was no need. All we had was a missing persons case.
Okay. And do you know whether or not police ever went to this scene 102 Laurel Drive before the September 17th?
I've been there.
For what reasons?
I was there in 2023, I don't remember the exact date, I think it was October. There was a report where Officer Carpenter was investigating an incident. I don't recall the exact incident, but I went there to make contact while he was out on Jackson Street talking to, I believe it was Ms. Rivera. I'm not positive who he was talking to. I never went to Jackson Street in 2023 on that incident. But he had asked me to go to Laurel, where I made contact, on my body cam. You can see Brandon Barnes, Jessica Barnes, Jessica Barnes at the time, and Ken Winters were there.
Okay. And were you aware of Miss Barnes' stillborn baby?
During the course of the investigation, we became aware of it, yes.
Okay. And at what point in time did you learn about prior domestic violence?
Okay, whoa. Stillborn. Is she talking like before all this happened, or did this happen as a result of her murder? If they said my brain is in the chat and not listening to this right now, I'm really bad about that. I can't pay attention to two things at once. So I completely missed that whole thing. I just heard the word stillborn.
Incidences that had occurred at that residence?
We never had any reports of domestic violence incidents at the residence.
Okay. But
Kasha, probably not. I mean, if she is, she's lurking. But I know that they don't have to be in the chat to actually get a gifted membership, because there have been times whenever I've gotten an email that says, congratulate, you were gifted a membership to whatever channel. And I wasn't even in the chat when they were given away, So I know that happens a lot, but she might pop in. I hope she does. That'd be cool. Okay, here we go.
when you looked up information about Mr. Barnes, at whatever point that you did you find that there were hints and instances that looked like domestic violence occurred?
Not with these parties. We did learn that he had been arrested for domestic violence in the state of Maine.
And that he also had a juvenile record for something along those lines as well?
Yes.
Okay, so you said that during this investigation, you did become aware of the stillborn.
Yes, ma'am.
And were you privy to those medical records?
During the course of the investigation, we learned Anderson County Sheriff's Office had investigated that incident, had made a report on it, and we do have their report.
Okay, because in those medical records, as well as the deputy, Officer Free State who responded, said they noticed bruising all over Mrs. Barnes' body, and Officer Free State mentioned it as well. I think at least one other officer had went out and noticed Ms. Barnes' black eyes. Were you aware of that during your investigation?
We never had a report of a domestic violence incident.
Okay. So, at any point in time, did you attempt to triangulate the phones between these individuals?
We ultimately, through the investigation, had search warrants, got all their phones, did the phone notes. We have all the full information.
Okay, so you did do
Triangulation, no, that was not part of it.
Okay, is that not something that's done when there's a missing persons report?
Not that I'm aware of.
All right. Now, you said that there were forensics of the phones,
Yes, ma'am.
and did you get a warrant for those forensics?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And you got it yourself or someone else did?
Multiple officers were working on it. I believe the phone dump warrants were obtained by Officer Delco.
Now, At any point in time, did you attempt to speak to the victim out of Maine?
She called, yes, ma'am.
She did call.
Yes, ma'am.
And did you speak to her?
Yeah, at some point, let me back that up. I don't know that I spoke to her. I believe Officer Biddlecom spoke to her.
And did she express concerns about strangulation?
As far as I know of, yes.
Okay. And did you have an opportunity to ever question Ms. Mims by herself?
During the course of the investigation, we spoke with all of them multiple times.
But did you ever have an opportunity to speak to her by herself?
They were always together.
And where was the minor child when this was occurring?
You talking about the murder?
No. I know where she was. Where was the minor child when you were questioning Ms. Mims?
Which time?
Any of the times?
I believe she was typically in the care of Mr. Herring.
Okay. All right, so, but you said that you did end up, when you said that they were together, are you meaning Mr. Barnes and Ms. Mims were together? He was there, or did you mean somebody else was with Ms. Mims?
Typically, it was always Ms. Tippett, Ms. Mims, Mr. Barnes.
Okay.
He was a very controlling individual. We found.
Now, I know you said you had an opportunity to speak to her grandfather, Mr. Herring,
Yes,
on
ma'am.
several occasions, and he was really helpful solving the case. Did you by chance get a search warrant for the GPS trackers at any point in time?
I believe SLED had taken one of those. Yeah. I believe.
Okay.
Or if not the warrant, Mr. Herring had given us permission. Both verbally and in writing, as I stated.
And you stated earlier that Mr. Herring is not on Mr. Barnes' title, but he is.
He's on the HHR, registered Mr. Barnes, and on the Kia, which I believe is registered Mr. Herring with Ms. Mims as well.
Did you have an opportunity to review the ring camera?
I did not review the ring cameras. That SLED
Okay.
did the review of the ring camera.
And then based upon their report, based upon their report about what occurred on the ring cameras, you made decisions about the case?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, how many times have you worked with domestic violence victims or responded to domestic violence calls?
Over the course of 16 years, I can't give you a number.
Right.
Many times.
And so I am going to assume, and I would like for you to correct me if I'm wrong, that you've gotten some domestic violence training.
Yes, ma'am.
And were you concerned at all about domestic violence in the house at any point in time?
No, we, like, again, as I said, we have never received a call to the Laurel Drive address for an incident. I believe it was 4 calls roughly to the Jackson Street address where Mr. Barnes' mother resided, and Miss Barnes, Jessica Bavara at the time, had resided there.
But during the course of your investigation, when you discovered probably some pretty alarming information, did you start to wonder if there was any domestic violence present at 102 Laurel Drive?
With which parties? We're talking 3
All of
different
them,
females.
any of them?
We never had any indication that there was domestic violence. At some point, Ms. Bavara, Cecilia Bavara, Jessica's mother, told us about an incident in November, probably 23, where she said that she believed Jessica had been the victim of domestic violence, but it had been a call that had been handled by the sheriff's office. So Pendleton Police Department, as I said, had never received a report of domestic violence.
Now, that's interesting. So I know that police did respond because of domestic violence at 102 Laurel. Is there a reason why Pendleton wasn't notified of it?
It would depend on the day that it would have been reported. Pendleton Police Department, after 2 a.m. Saturday morning until 8 a.m. Monday morning, Pendleton Police Department is off duty. So if it occurs Saturday, Sunday, into Monday morning, it's Anderson County Sheriff's Office's response.
Okay. But you said that you went to Ms. Barbara's residence and that you had to take Mrs. Barnes, Jessica, to a hospital?
We didn't take her, the ambulance took her to the hospital.
And that was July 31st?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you find out any information more about that during the course of your investigation? Because obviously she was in the hospital and then you assumed that the date of the murder was either the 1st or the 2nd.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know how she got from the hospital to back to 102 in the morning?
From the statements we received, Jessica Barnes had her phone while she was being transported via ambulance to admin. She was in contact with Brandon Barnes via text message. Once she was brought into the emergency room for mental health evaluation at admin, she ultimately decided to check herself out, left the hospital, was apparently walking around Anderson, still in communication with Brandon via phone. And he ultimately, on the morning of the 1st, drove to Anderson to pick her up and brought her back to Laurel Drive.
Was anybody in the car with him when he did that?
I couldn't tell you, ma'am.
Okay. Would that have shown up on the ring camera?
I can't answer that.
Okay. What about, were you ever aware that Mr. Barnes would drive Ms. Mims' car
Yes, ma'am.
without her in it?
I couldn't tell you if she would have been in it or not.
Okay, but maybe that would also be something that's on the ring camera? At any point in time during this investigation, did you speak to Mrs. Mims, excuse me, Mrs. Mims' family members from mom or dad?
No, ma'am.
So you're not aware, excuse me, that they had sought law enforcement services in North Carolina and Georgia trying to find their daughter?
Unaware of North Carolina, Georgia, yes, that was one of the indications, or that was one of the reasons that Mr. Heron said he put a tracker on the vehicle that she typically drove, was that Brandon Barnes and Kendall Mims at some point had gone down to Georgia, unknown where, family didn't have any contact with her. So when they came back, he had put the tracker on the vehicle so that that type of activity wouldn't happen again.
But in fact, the family had to report the car stolen so that they could find her, correct?
I couldn't tell you if the car was reported stolen.
Okay, so do you have any of those incident reports?
No, ma'am, not reported to Pendleton PD.
So, you stated that there were several text messages that you saw on the phones, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And did Ms. Barbara make you aware that she suspected that Mr. Barnes had been texting her using Jessica's phone?
Are we talking about when she reported her as a missing person?
Yes.
Yes, so she said that the reason she was in to report her as a missing person was that she had not heard from Jessica on her birthday. And that, I don't remember the exact date, but she had gotten a text message allegedly from Jessica's phone, but she did not believe that it was sent from Jessica. Reading the text message, it read very strange. It was a long run-on sentence. And she also said that one of her sons had received a similar text message. Went to her residence, made contact with one of her minor sons, read the text message he had received, and it was very similar to the text message that Ms. Bavard had received, other than the message he
Where did that dog barking sound come from? I gotta play that back.
Residents made contact with one of her minor sons, read the text message he had received, and it was very similar to the text message that Ms. Villar had received.
That has to be somebody's ringtone, right? I was like, wait a minute, where did that come from? And he didn't even bat an eye. So I'm like, what in the world? Weird. Okay. Let's go.
Other than this, the message he received had some punctuation in it. And the other indication from Ms. Villar was that Jessica typically used a number of emojis. Hers was long run-on sentence, no emojis, and her son had some punctuation and emojis, but it read very similarly.
At any point in time, did you find out that Mr. Barnes regularly used Ms. Tippett, Ms. Mims, and Ms. Barnes' phones?
And he apparently used all three of their phones as well as his.
And were you aware that he also did some of that with their social media?
Yes, ma'am.
At any point in time, did you realize that when you were saying that Ms. Tippett and Mr. Barnes went to Walmart to buy the plastic container, the shovel, and the Coca-Cola, you stated that they used Ms. Mims' debit card, correct? She was not there, correct?
She was not there when that purchase was made.
And that appeared to have taken place while she was at work.
Correct. Yes, she was not there.
Prior to her learning about any of this. As far as you can tell, that was prior to her learning about any of this.
I don't know when she learned of the event.
Alright.
Would have been after she returned home, but I can't tell you how long
Yeah.
after she returned home that she was told.
It wasn't coming from my house. No, that wasn't my doggy. They could have, David. That's a good thought, too. They could have. Sometimes they do that. It was just super funny. I was like, what? Where did that come from?
At any point in time, did you notice that Mr. Barnes was funneling large amounts of money from Ms. Mims' account to his own?
What we found through the bank records was it seemed like as Ms. Mims would get paid, transfers were made from her account into Brandon Barr's account.
Was he doing that with anyone else?
Jessica Barnes had very little money, and we didn't see any indication that there was anything from Victoria Tippett.
Okay. And do you know how many jobs Ms. Mims was forced to work?
I believe she was working 2 jobs, at an Arby's, and then she had just started a job at a diner or some type of eating establishment on Clemson University.
And were you aware that at least one of her coworkers made a statement regarding injuries that she constantly saw on Ms. Mims?
Yes,
Back.
one of the coworkers said that she had seen some type of injury on her body.
During the course of your investigation, did you learn that Mr. Barnes required Ms. Mims to either wear a headset or keep her phone on all the time so that he could listen to everything she did?
From the statements they've given me, while all of them, while Brandon was at work, he would be constantly on the phone with the parties.
Oh, Patricia, I just noticed your new profile picture. That is super cute. I love that. That is such a cute jacket. Patricia said, grocery shopping, Akasha? We like shopping.
And Ms. Mims, while she was at work, she was apparently on the phone as well.
You stated earlier in your testimony that Ms. Mims rarely said much at all,
Different, very differential.
and that was your experience with her as a whole.
Throughout the investigation, yes. Only time I ever really saw any type of emotion from her was in October 2023, when I made contact with her, Jessica Brevard at the time, and Brandon Barnes.
All right, now, do you know who had the relationship first with Mr. Barnes, where this began?
Ms. Mims.
And do you know where that occurred? It's where it started.
No.
So, do you know when Ms. Barnes was introduced into this equation?
Toward the end of 2023.
Okay. And then, are you aware of when Ms. Tippett became involved?
July, like a couple weeks before this happened.
All right.
Ms. Wise, I just want to make sure, are you handling both cases?
No, I'm not.
I'll be real quick, Your Honor.
Well, when she mentioned, Ms. Tippett, I just wanted to make sure that you were handling both cases while, I wanted to stay as close to the charges as possible. I know I'm allowed to go far afield, and I'm allowed to solicit officers. I don't know that you're not calling another buy-in.
This is our only witness, Your Honor.
So I just want to make sure, just want to make sure.
Thank you, Judge, I appreciate that. All right, so you did say that all three of the parties were at Lowe's, correct?
Yes, sir.
And,
Seen those surveillance.
all right, do you know who drove that day?
No, I did not.
So you stated that Ms. Mims was not there during the commission of this crime.
Yes, ma'am.
And you said that during her interview, she gave you information that she knew what had happened?
During your interview, I was not present during the interview. I watched the interview recording. She ultimately initially stated that Jessica had left of her own volition. Nobody knew where she was, and then eventually told us what she had been told.
And what she had been told was that Jessica committed suicide.
Yes, ma'am.
And she said that numerous times.
Yes.
So Ms. Mims never said that she knew that Ms. Barnes was murdered.
Yep, because she wasn't there. She said, again, she was telling us what she was told. She had disappeared, she had killed herself.
And did you ever uncover any evidence that Ms. Mims was married to Brandon Barnes?
No, Mr. Barnes and Ms. Mims had obtained a wedding license, but had never.
Because just getting a marriage license isn't enough to get married in the state of South Carolina.
That they never had gotten.
Ooh. Okay. So the Mims chick was the side chick. I'm so confused. Why did I think it was the other one? I'm so confused now.
Did you ever uncover any information that the child that Ms. Mims had with Mr. Barnes was a secret of any kind?
Not that we're aware of.
Were you aware that Ms. Barnes was present when Ms. Mims gave birth?
No, ma'am.
And were you ever able to uncover any kind of plot to kill Ms. Barnes?
No.
Did you ever find anything regarding Ms. Mims that she wanted to do this, thought about doing this? made a plan to do this.
There was never an indication, nothing during the investigation showed that there was a plan to kill her. We found numerous text messages amongst the parties that Ms. Mims and Mrs. Barnes didn't get along, but I would expect that.
Yes, I would place that blame squarely at Mr. Barnes' feet. I have no further questions.
It was the court, Your Honor. Just want to clear up one thing. At the beginning of your testimony, were you at the incident, the civil disturbance incident on July 31st?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about that civil, what kind of civil disturbance was it?
When Officer Bishop and I showed up, Mrs. Barnes, Jessica Barnes, was laying in the street, all her belongings with her, and it was at the residence next to her mother's address at 456 Jackson. At that time, both Brandon Barnes and Jessica Barnes were placed on trespass notice from 456 Jackson, where the mother and her other siblings resided. Brandon Barnes was present while we were dealing with that and then ultimately waiting for the ambulance to arrive. Ms. Mims had arrived on scene. She stayed separated from where we were dealing with Jessica and Brandon.
Was that like a shouting match? Were they going at each other? What kind of, when you say civil disturbance, I'm just trying to get an idea of what was actually going on.
Apparently, Brandon had brought Jessica back to the residence with all her belongings, where he was leaving her. And his intention initially was he was leaving while we were on scene, and it was more than an hour. He wanted to bring her with him. She had made indications that she wanted to, Jessica had made indications that she wanted to hurt herself, which is when we asked for the ambulance to come on scene.
Was that incident reported on body cam?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And was that turned over as part of this whole case file?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let's go then now to the initial contact you had with Brandon, Victoria, and Kendall, where Victoria made the written statement. Was all of that on body cam and recorded?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and turned over to the solicitor's office?
Yes, sir.
All right, the GPS trackers on the cars. Now, when you initially answered the state's question, you said that Brandon Barnes was the registered owner of the HHR, and that then later during the cross, you said Brandon Barnes and Mr. Herron, and I'm just trying to make sure I get this right. Was he actually registered owner, or was he just a co-signer on the loan?
Give me just a second.
No problem.
Leave a hazard.
Hey, Donnie. Hi. So, Donnie, we're just checking this case out. This is a newer case. Or, I mean, newer to me. Well, and it is pretty new altogether. The Jessica Barnes died in August of 2024. Was found it says not reported missing until September 10th. And then her remains were found a week after that. So like September 17th or something like that. So 5 months ago. So it's still pretty new. Still pretty new. But anyway, we were catching up on this preliminary hearing regarding the case. But we'll be back tomorrow on the Rose Petal murder thing for sure. Because the defense is supposed to be starting their case tomorrow. I hope you had a good weekend. My eyes are burning. I feel like I'm getting that like caffeine or no caffeine. Ugh. headache. Oh, Donnie's way back at the beginning. Okay. Yeah, more snow. Definitely. All right, let's get back to this. It don't look like we have that much longer. Let me see. Yeah, so we have what, about 20, 25 minutes left. Hey, Cynthia Boojak. Hey. Good to see ya. Right, Morgana. They have a lot of background noise. A lot of background noise.
Karen today. Do not believe I have the registration. Do not believe I have the registrations printed off. I believe Mr. Heron was the co-signer.
Okay. If I told you that, looking at the tax records, that Brandon Barnes is the only listed person for the HHR, but that Mr. Heron and then Ms. Mims are on the registration for the Kia Forte, would that surprise you?
No.
Okay. And so were you able to, if Mr. Heron was on some sort of note, were you able to collect that note to verify that Mr. Heron had some sort of interest in the HHR?
I don't recall that.
Okay. Because, you would agree that probably can't put trackers in random people's cars.
Correct.
Okay. Did you, what kind of GPS trackers were they? Were they like air tags? Were they magnetic devices?
I asked Mr. Heron about the device and he didn't answer that question.
Okay.
And it wasn't our device, so honestly, I didn't care.
So, but once it became clear that the HHR and the Forte to some extent were used in furtherance of this investigation, were those devices collected and put into evidence?
Negative.
Why not?
They were owned by Mr. Heron.
All right. Just to get to some statements that I read, I believe in your interview with Mr. Heron, he described Brandon at one point as manipulative and narcissistic with women.
And if his lips are moving, he's lying.
And if his lips are moving, he's lying. Also, in an interview with Jessica's mother, talked about Jessica being physically abused by Brandon and then provided a picture, which I believe is actually an evidence that I've seen,
Yes.
of a black eye. You remember interviewing with Julia Palmer, who dated Brandon between August and November of 2023?
I'm not sure if he'll rule from the bench or not, but the hearing, Dina, I'm assuming was to, but what I read on an article on Court TV's website was that after this hearing, the judge ruled that there was probable cause that these two girls did indeed participate, and or that there's enough evidence to show that they did, and so they will stand trial. So. Hey, Miss King. How are you, Miss King? Uh, oh my goodness. Oh my Lord, have mercy. It's too early in the evening for this nonsense now. And we had a 2-hour delay today, so I got a 2-hour later start than normal. So I shouldn't be yawning. But it makes sense because my normal crash is at about 3 p.m. ish. And 2 hours later would be 5 p.m. ish. So it's 5:42. Now I get it. Miss King, what do you not understand? Do you mean this trial or not? This isn't a trial, this is a hearing, but is this what you mean, this hearing? Because I was confused too until now it's making sense. So, well, it made sense to me, but I had the girls switched. I was thinking the lover was the one with the dark hair that's we're looking at right now, but the secret lover is actually the other one and the blonder headed one. And then this one here with the dark hair split down the middle is the roommate slash friend that helped. So I'm doing good, Miss King, doing good, except for this. Oh my God. So sorry. Those are the hard ones that make your eyeballs water. So Miss King, so the one girl is after the fact and they killed the wife. So there's 2 girls sitting at the defense table that are in custody in orange. The other one that's sitting there, you'll see her in a minute if you haven't seen her yet. She's got like shoulder length blondish brown hair ish, and she's the secret lover that helped or that was there when the husband strangled his wife to death. Yes. So they killed, or he killed the wife, and the lover and him and this friend helped dispose of the body. Guess what? There's another burn pile. Yeah.
Believe she stated that Brandon put a cigarette on her before they broke out.
It was a phone interview.
I'm sorry,
She
Phil.
had said that,
I know it is.
She had been involved with him for a short period of time, 2 or 3 months. At some point, he had put out a cigarette on one of her legs, asked her if she ever reported the incident. She said no.
Now,
How far are we going to go back into
we're not, I'm done with that.
in time?
This is as far back, that's my last question as far as that, and I've only got a few more, Your Honor. In your testimony, at the beginning, you said that you got to the Twin Lakes location based off the phone data or the tracker data.
Yes, sir.
In your report, there's stated that a confidential source had said that Brandon was at Twin Lakes on August the 3rd. Was there a confidential source?
Mr. Hank.
Not
Mr.
phone,
Harris.
Cynthia.
Okay, that clears that up.
Yeah, I've been drinking decaf, and so that no caffeine on top of, which they do say there's a tiny bit, even though it's decaffeinated coffee still has a speck of caffeine in it. Just like a drop in the bucket compared to a normal cup of coffee, right? Right, Miss King. Right. According to them, according to their interviews and stuff, the police believe that he strangled the wife and the lover helped dispose of the body. Yes. Yep.
Because it can be a little bit confusing at times. Well, let me ask this first. You said that a private entity was used as, for the cadaver dog. Do you remember what entity that was?
No, it's not my head, sir.
Okay. And were they paid by the department? Were they paid by SLED? Do you have any of that information?
Volunteer.
And you said that the remains were identified by dental ID based off the 3 teeth that were found.
The 3 teeth and a piece of the jaw.
Do you know who did that ID?
It's in the report.
Okay.
I saw the name last night, but I don't recall off the top of my head.
Was there any sort of DNA identification?
Ultimately, SLED did the DNA, yes, sir.
What actual, and you may not know every little piece, but what actual remains were collected from that burn site other than the piece of the jawbone with the teeth?
I can't answer that. While that search was being conducted out of Twin Lakes, myself and Officer Bishop were doing a search over at Lower Drive, so it was being conducted simultaneously.
Were any large remains found, larger bone?
Not that I'm aware of.
Now, during one of the interviews, I believe, maybe Ms. Tippett had said that they had purchased bleach, clean up the bodily fluids.
Yes, sir.
It's my understanding that the pool house was carpeted.
Yes, sir.
Was there any evidence of any bleach being used, any bleached out areas?
Not when you SLED forensics, usually luminol and whatever else they use.
Okay, so to your knowledge, there was no areas of carpet like it looked like someone poured bleach on?
No, sir.
Part of your report mentioned.
It's hard for me to believe that they would go to the trouble to buy cleaning supplies like that when they said, unless I misunderstood, they said that they noticed a little bit of stuff come out of her mouth after she died. Why would you need, you know what I mean? Stuff to clean up. I mean, I don't know that I'm buying this whole strangulation thing anyway. You really don't know for sure. So I don't know.
That you had received a tip on September 19th regarding a potential sighting of Jessica Barnes at the Dollar General. Was that ever reviewed, or was video ever pulled from that Dollar General at that point in time?
No, sir. I conducted that interview on the phone, and when I asked the gentleman if he would, how certain he was, he said, yeah, I don't remember the percentage he gave, and I said, well, would it change your mind any if I told you that we had evidence that would indicate that you did not see what you believe you saw? And he said, no, he was pretty sure that he'd seen Ms. Barnes.
Okay. And that would have been before 9/20. That would have been before Ms. Barnes would have been identified, though.
Possibly identified, yes, sir.
Did you ever get that individual's name?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And so his information is in a report?
Is in the report, yes, sir.
Okay. What about the identification of a woman, I believe she's described as looking haggard and smoking a Marlboro cigarette, that was seen on September 20th? And who said that she collected, I believe, 3 trash bags worth of stuff from the area?
Right.
Was she ever identified?
No, sir. Again, on the 20th, this was information that was reported to me. I put it in the report. Information I received was that a SLED agent was stopped by this woman as she was driving by and said that she had found a number of trash bags at some location.
Yeah, there was no idea what was in the trash bags, whether they were trash, whether they were potential evidence, whether they were.
No, and she was never identified, nor were you.
And then my last question would be, do you remember Ms. Mims giving a statement to police that basically said that Brandon had told Ms. Mims and Ms. Tippett that if they had talked to police or said anything about this, that basically they were all going down with it?
That was their statement, yes, sir.
For one quick second here, I have no further questions for this witness.
I have 2 or 3 follow-ups if you'll allow me. Officer Westcott, in Ms. Wise's questioning, she was a little bit unsure on the date of the actual murder and when it took place. So I just want to run through some stuff that I've gathered from the reports and in my discussions with law enforcement. The civil disturbance happened on 7/31, correct?
Correct.
And then
On Jackson Street.
Then at some point early on 8/1, that's when Miss Barnes is wandering around the downtown Anderson area.
Yes, sir.
And on 8/1, Mr. Barnes picks her up, correct?
Yes, sir.
So,
In the morning.
okay. And then 8/1 passes by and there's, in my review of the evidence, there's the HHR or the Kia, one of the two is door dashing late at night on 8/1. Does that sound correct to you if you
Yes.
know of that? Okay. And then we go into 8/2 and Kendall leaves for work. And let me take one step back. On 8/1, we've got Jessica on Ring doorbell camera and Brandon returning back to the pool house.
Yes, sir.
And then on 8/2, Kendall leaves for work and Jessica is alive. Is that correct?
Sounds correct.
Okay. You said it sounds correct. Are you not 100% sure? Or
I believe that is.
Okay. And then, so Kendall goes to work on 8/2 and she's alive. Kendall returns on 8/2 and that's when she sees Jessica's body in the plastic bin, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so it seems as though she was murdered sometime between when Kendall left for work, the morning of the 2nd, and she comes home from work after, 5 o'clock on the 2nd.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, the next thing I want to go to is also in Ms. Wise's questioning is she talked about how Kendall never actually said that she knew that Brandon choked Jessica to death. That's what the questioning was, correct?
Yes, sir.
That dog came
but-
back. That dog came back. I feel like it's some sort of automated something, whether it's somebody's phone or something, because it's always a very rhythmic, I don't know.
interview, did she ultimately admit to Brandon telling her what happened?
Yes, sir.
And so what did Kendall, in her interview, finally, after telling a few stories that weren't exactly true, what did Kendall say Brandon told her?
That he was trying to restrain her in some type of WWE move where his arm had come around her neck. And that's how she had been choked, strangled.
And that's what Kendall told the law enforcement in her interview.
Correct.
So she ultimately told you,
The manner in which it took place.
okay. Did she make any sort of did she make any demonstrations of what Brandon told her that you know of?
Kendall did not. Victoria did.
Victoria did, okay. All right, and let me go to, you said you did not collect, this is now Mr. Boyle's question. You did not collect the physical trackers?
Correct.
Mr. Herron either still has them or something along those lines?
As far as I know.
Okay, but did y'all extract and review the data from those trackers?
Yes, sir. SLED got that data.
And y'all have that data?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And that's the ultimate data that shows you where the remains were?
Yes, sir.
And who, I think you testified to it, just to make sure, who positively identified the remains, because there weren't many remains, who positively identified them?
Give me a second. I don't have it right here. It was an email.
I can't tell if she's like tired or if she's medicated or if she's just sad, like remorseful. Whatever it is, she's got this look on her face. And she has through the whole thing, you know?
Whomever the remains were sent to identify an email the Anderson County coroner. Once the coroner, or it might have been the Pickens County coroner, Camden County, once they had the email, that was when the plan was made to pick the three up for the interview. Now that we had positively identified the remains as Jessica Barnes.
And I don't know the name either, just sitting here, but wasn't it someone at Clemson University that had to look at the remains just due to the state they were in?
Professor Weisensee, who would come onto the scene initially, I positively identified human remains on the 20th of September. I'm sorry, 19th of September, the initial search. The ultimate positive identification of the dental remains, that was sent to someone who was in Georgia.
Okay.
I believe it's Georgia.
But those dental remains were Jessica's, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then this is my last question. Mr. Bloom was talking about the bleach and the bleach being purchased, and there not really being much evidence of bleach. But my understanding is that
Hey, Chrissy.
in Kendall Mims's interview, she told law enforcement that when she came back to the house,
We're just kind of learning about it together here, Chrissy. If you want to, watch this on the replay, you'll hear I kind of go into a brief little overview of it. But yeah, seems to be a crazy one for sure. For sure. But yeah, I had heard about it. I just hadn't like dug into it to see what, like I've seen the pictures before, for some earlier hearings or stuff on different, the bigger channels, Law and Crime here on Court TV. But yeah. Donnie says, I'd like to think she's remorseful. These days, though, I don't know. I'll go back and watch the replay. Actually, I'll Google real quick while I listen. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'll just give you a quick little brief recap. The dude that's on trial, his name is Brandon Barnes. This isn't the trial. This is a preliminary hearing. But the dude who's, will be on trial, unless he strikes some sort of a deal or something. I don't know. His name is Brandon Barnes. I'll show you his picture. This is him on the right. And he's married to the gal on the left. Her name is Jessica Barnes. And he allegedly murdered her by strangulation. But now his secret lover, who is the gal in the orange at the defense table by the woman with the shoulder length hair, is his secret lover. And she was there when he murdered her, and she helped dispose of the body. And the gal over here on the left with the short hair, the dark brown hair pulled back in the orange, was a roommate or a friend of theirs. I haven't really figured that part out. I think that they were roommates / friends. And apparently she was at work when this happened, but came home to find this and then also helped dispose of the body. So that's basically it in a nutshell, I think, for the most part. And the burn pile is included in this story as well. Donnie, I don't know if you caught that part. Yeah. When they couldn't figure out how to get rid of her body, they decided to put her in a burn pile. Oh, the burn pile cases are aplenty lately. They are aplenty. I know, lots of people. There's only 4 people. I mean, there's the husband and the wife, the secret lover, and the friend / roommate. So, okay, we will continue. It doesn't have much longer left. About 10 minutes-ish. Yes, South Carolina. I know, right? Donnie's like, fire. South Carolina again? I know. Did the husband say she had left to go visit her parents and never came back? There's a blonde missing with that type of story. No, but that one sounds familiar. That sounds familiar, Chrissy. But I don't think it's this one. I mean, I could be wrong. I don't know, but I don't think I heard anything about that.
It smelled like the room had been bombed with bleach. Does that sound correct to you?
Yes, sir.
And that Brandon said that he had bombed the room for bugs.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Brief redirect, Your Honor.
I'm sorry?
I said a brief redirect, Your Honor.
Okay.
So very sorry. During Ms. Mims' interview, she also said that it smelled very strongly of like ant killer or bleach. Do you remember her saying that exactly?
Yes, ma'am.
So it could have been either one. She wasn't exactly sure.
Yes, ma'am.
And last question. During Ms. Mims' interview, she did state that Mr. Barnes had tried to restrain Mrs. Barnes.
Yes, ma'am.
But she stated over and over and over again that Mrs. Barnes was still moving when Mr. Barnes left the room. Or is that incorrect?
That I'm not sure. Again, I wasn't present during her interview.
Oh, and can't forget to include in this case some random dog that barks every so often. Don't know what that's about. That is not my dog. That dog is either in the courtroom or it's somebody's phone sounds. I do not know. Massachusetts, South Carolina, and Utah are all fighting for Florida's spot. Jeez, they all need to cut it out, right? God, Utah. That one's going to be a good one. Well, which This case, though, is not going to be in Utah. Where is it at? Lori Vallow's next one? I forget. Hey, Spins. It's got to be a phone, right? Yes, that was from the courtroom. It's somebody's phone because it's always it's a very rhythmic burp, burp, burp. Arizona. That's it. I think that's it. Yeah, Lori Vallow's trial upcoming. This one is going to be in Arizona. So, yes. They mentioned that a while ago, but I don't think it is because it's very rhythmic. It's not like a burf, burf, burf. You know what I mean? It's a rah, 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 like every time, and it's done it like 10 times now. Spin says, hey, I've been lurking sneakily. Sneaky, sneaky, sneaker McSneakerson. I love sneakers.
And she wasn't present during the incident.
Lurk.
Okay. All right, thank you. No further questions?
No.
One question, why did you get the accessory after the fact and mispresent of a felony? Aren't they the same elements, except one is murder, A, B, C, and the other one is just felony?
Honestly, Your Honor, I had never heard of his prison. SLED spoke with the solicitor. Solicitor said, go forward with these charges.
Is that what y'all want to do? Y'all going?
Judge, it's my understanding that we are aware of the accessory and the misprision issue, and there's a possibility there's some case law saying you cannot be guilty of those two. That's not representation to you right now.
You would have to elect the charge.
I believe that's correct.
The solicitor, you can say,
And my also our understanding is that the jury could pick between the two at a trial, and that it can't be both. So.
Yeah, Judge, if we ultimately go to trial on this case, you have to look at it in a vacuum. And of course, it'll all depend on the testimony that comes out and ultimately what the jury decides. But you can, the circuit court can structure the jury instructions so that they, if they pick one,
Chrissy,
or if they don't pick one, they move on to the next one and vice versa.
both have to be indicted no matter what.
Yes.
So I know it's a preliminary hearing, but.
And that's way on down the line.
Yeah, that's way down the line, but I'm just not sure why. Saying one is common law and one is codified, as far as I consider.
I would say that the accessory part is more of an active role, and the misprision of a felony is more of a neglect of duty aspect of it. So I think the defense would make some arguments.
You have a felony without being an ABC felony. There is a lesser felony, but that's not including accessory. These may be semantical arguments anyway. Anything about the on their lines?
Just briefly, Your Honor, the only evidence they have on Ms. Mims knowing about this murder occurring was based upon her testimony in her interview that she gave willingly and voluntarily to SLED and to law enforcement. However, at no point in time during her interview did she state that she actually knew that Brandon Barnes killed Jessica Barnes. And her statement over and over and over again was that, as far as she knew, Mrs. Barnes was still alive, even after Brandon tried to subdue her. Based upon that, I would ask that you consider dismissing the accessory after the fact of murder, because the only evidence they have that she knew that it was a murder was based upon what she said, that she knew that he restrained her, that she did testify or state over and over again that Mrs. Barnes was still alive once the restraining was over with. And Judge, to be guilty of accessory after the fact murder, she'd have to know that there was a murder that occurred.
Okay.
Nothing.
And Judge, I would just respond to the motion related to accessory is that I would agree that you have to acknowledge that a felony has occurred. When you come home from work and there's a deceased person inside of a plastic tote, and then you tell law enforcement that that person who committed the murder ultimately demonstrated for you how they choked them, and you demonstrate that choke for law enforcement, and then a murder charge is ultimately brought, that it just sort of defies logic that you don't know that a felony has occurred and then a murder has occurred, Your Honor.
All right. I do find probable cause on all three charges for both defendants. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
Sorry, I was over here busy getting my Instagram thing and missed what the judge said. Dog nabbit, dag nobbit, dag nabbit, however you say it. Let me rewind it and hear this again. Sorry, you guys. I'm a serial rewinder for those of you that aren't familiar.
I'm just not sure why. Saying one is common law and one is codified. As far as I consider.
I would say that the accessory part is more of an active role, and then the misprision of a felony is more of a neglect of duty aspect of it. So I think the defense would make some arguments.
You can have a felony without being an ABC felony. There is a lesser felony, but that's not included in accessory. These may be semantical arguments anyway. Anything about on their lines?
Just briefly, Your Honor, the only evidence they have on Ms. Mims knowing about this murder occurring was based upon her own testimony in her interview that she gave willingly and voluntarily misled to law enforcement. However, at no point in time during her interview did she state that she actually knew that Brandon Barnes killed Jessica Barnes. And her statement over and over and over again was that, as far as she knew, Mrs. Barnes was still alive, even after Brandon tried to subdue her. Based upon that, I would ask that you consider dismissing the accessory after the fact of murder, because the only evidence they have that she knew that it was a murder was based upon what she said, that she knew that he restrained her, that she did testify or state over and over again that Mrs. Barnes was still alive once the restraining was over with. And Judge, to be guilty of accessory after the fact murder, she'd have to know that there was a murder that occurred.
Nothing.
And Judge, I would just respond to the motion related to accessory is that I would agree that you have to acknowledge that.
Okay, so she has to know that there was an actual murder that occurred. So my first thought is, and I know this is very probably ridiculous sounding, but what did you think was in the plastic tote, ma'am? Did you think that you were burning a victim alive? I'm not following. I'm not following that whatever that is.
Felony has occurred. When you come home from work and there's a deceased person inside of a plastic tote, and then you tell law enforcement that that person who committed the murder ultimately demonstrated for you how they choked them, and you demonstrate that choke for law enforcement, and then a murder charge is ultimately brought, that it just sort of defies logic that you don't know that a felony has occurred and then a murder has occurred, Your Honor.
All right. I do find probable cause on all three charges for both defendants. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
think they're explaining to them that they're going to be going to trial.
Thank you for your help.
They're probably saying things like, but it's okay. We can file this motion and we can do this and we can do that and we can blah, 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 blah. You know, when we haven't even talked about plea deals yet and blah, 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 blah. I don't know. Who knows? Yeah, the math ain't mathin'. Mm-mm. Nerp. Mm-mm. Right, Donnie? Exactly. Let's not worry yet. We still don't even have a trial date set yet. Blah, 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 blah. Mm-mm. Just babies, man. They're just babies. So young. Donnie, yeah, so young. They can't be in the same, like, space, right? They can't be having them in the same space. Because goodness knows, if they were in the same space, right? Obvious. They'd be getting their story straight, right? That's surely to goodness no. I think it automatically don't work that way. They automatically don't put the right. Secret lovers. Yeah, that's what we are. Are you two flirting? The dude and the girl. She's got a flirty look on her face. Maybe not. Anyway, okay, sorry. I don't know how old they are, Morgan. I have no idea, but they can't be. They have to be like very early 20s, right? Very early 20s, I would assume. Did we just harmonize? Exactly. But you gotta go back to jail. So Mim's roomie and friend helped dispose of the body, and the secret lover, who may have had a child by Barnes, didn't know he was or did kill the original wife. Wild. Okay, wait. I gotta wrap my brain around this question. Hold on. So Mim's roomie/friend helped dispose of the body, and the secret lover didn't know he was or did kill the original wife. Yeah, I mean, I kind of I wonder if that's what they're like. So, from what I understand, the Tippett, or whatever that other girl's last name is, the one on the left side that had the dark hair pulled back and parted in the middle, she's the roomie/friend. And she was apparently not home when this occurred, but came home from work while uh while the disposing of the body was going on. Yeah, Mims is the lover, the secret lover. Mims is the secret lover. Secret lover, yeah, that's what we are. Sorry, that song is stuck. I know. I'm gonna have to draw. Yeah, I'm gonna have to draw a diagram or something, Margaret. Right? Well, we're gonna have to keep up tabs with this one because very, very a flow chart, right? Tanika Whitney. I was singing that song earlier and I was like, who sings that? And they Googled it and it's Atlantic Star. Yeah. All right, youngins, I'm going to get out of here and go see what the family is doing. Margaret said I have it on my phone, my iPhone, no Google here. And right now my Alexa is currently playing Knocking on Heaven's Door. For some reason, my Alexa decides to go off at 5:55 every night with some sort of a awesome music, but it's always something you never know what's going to pop on there. Baby Shark. Ugh. No, not the song that never ends. Oh my God. No, Spenzy. You guys, thanks for hanging out today. It's been a good day. Thanks for hanging out, Tanika. David, good to see you. Yeah, we'll be back tomorrow. Yes, ma'am. We will be back tomorrow. Oh my God, Margaret. That's a good one. That's a good one. I need to sneak and have it do that to Dale, my husband. You too. Good to see you, Gail. Dina, thanks for hanging out. Chrissy, as far as time, it should be about the normal time that we've been doing the Rose Petal murder trial. I don't know if they said what time for sure for the jurors to be there, but it seems like they've been starting right around 10 a.m. Eastern when you consider the 30-minute delay. So, oh, David, thank you so much. That means a lot. That means a lot. Thank you. She thought it came with the Alexa. Oh my God. That's hilarious. That's hilarious. I did say fart. Oh my goodness. All right. I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to go see what the family's doing. And I don't know. I'm dying for a cup of coffee. Like, maybe I can try the half calf. Wonder what would happen if I did that. I'll try the half calf. See if it makes my blood pressure go up again. If it does, then I'll go back to decaf. But man, I'm like snoozing. So I ordered some liquid multivitamins for me and the kids. So hopefully that helps. Mine's got some extra B vitamins in them. Maybe that'll help boost me in the energy department. Anyway, I love you guys. Thanks for hanging out with me today. It was fun. Cannot wait for the defense's side of their story tomorrow. In the what was it? Told Kathy the other day from Gossip, Rumor, and Innuendo. I told her, I said something about that Zachary Hughes being the cutie patootie with the good hair. He's got some pretty hair. So I'm eager to see what they come up with tomorrow. All right. So I will see you guys tomorrow morning. Make sure to hit the thumbs up before you leave. Subscribe if you're new. Click that notification bell so you don't miss anything. And hashtag replay in the comments down below if you're watching this on the replay. Be complex with vitamin C. I do need some extra vitamin C. I think we all do. All right. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.